Armenia and Azerbaijan, going on for years. They came to my office, the two leaders, two great guys. One was there 22 years, one was there 7. And they both said during the entire term of their office, all they did was kill people on the other side. And now they're sitting in my office, and they're at the Oval Office. It's pretty wide. And they had one over here, one over there. And slowly, over the course of about an hour, they came close. And at the end of an hour, we were hugging each other and holding hands. It was an amazing thing, and we settled that war. That was not settleable, as the expression goes. Cambodia and Armenia, it was just starting, and it was a bad one. Think of that. We have, let's see, Cambodia, Armenia. We have Kosovo, Serbia, Israel, Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia. That's a beauty. They built a little dam in Ethiopia that's like the largest dam in the world.
This is my video update on this Sunday afternoon, September the 21st, coming to you from Nicosia, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news, and let's start things off with Afghanistan and the Bagram airbase. U.S. President Donald J. Trump, he posted on X that he wants Afghanistan to give back the Bagram airbase because the United States built that airbase, and if Afghanistan does not give back the Bagram airbase, then bad things are going to happen. Here is what Trump posted on X. If Afghanistan doesn't give Bagram airbase back to those that built it, the United States of America, bad things are going to happen. President DJT. Thank you for your attention to this matter. He didn't say that in his Truth Social post. I'm just adding that on there. Anyway, President Trump, he wants Bagram back. He wants Bagram back because the United States built Bagram, which is false. The Soviets built Bagram in the 1950s. At least that's my understanding of the history of the Bagram Air Base, located in Afghanistan. An air base located in Afghanistan, built by the Soviets in the 1950s. There have been add-ons to the air base, obviously. There have been add-ons to this air base by the Soviets, by the Americans. They've built up the air base over the many decades, but it was the Soviets that initially built the Bagram Air Base, located in Afghanistan. This is an air base in Afghanistan, okay? And Trump wants the air base given to the United States. He actually believes that the air base should be given back to the United States because he claims that the United States built the air base. Or else bad things are going to happen. The last time Trump said that bad things are going to happen, at least in a Truth Social post, was when he posted about Putin. And he said that that bad things are going to happen. And then 2 days later, you had Operation Spiderweb, the drones being launched from trucks inside of Russia, hitting nuclear assets of the Russian Federation. He used the same exact words during that post when he wrote that post. Bad things are going to happen. So maybe Trump is warning about something that's being cooked up, perhaps. Perhaps he heard some three-letter agency people in the White House talking about some plans that they may have with regards to Afghanistan and to Bagram. Is that what's going on? And Trump decided that he's going to post about this on Truth Social? Or was he playing golf with Lindsey Graham? And Lindsey Graham said, "Hey, you know what, Mr. President? I've got something I want to throw your way. How about if we start something up with Afghanistan? That would make really, really big profits for the MIC if we start up Afghanistan again. I mean, last time we were in Afghanistan, at least for the 20 years that we were in Afghanistan, we spent something like $1 or $2 trillion, and we all made a lot of money, right? A lot of money spent in Afghanistan. So maybe we should just return back there. What do you think, President Trump? Maybe Trump is balloon testing the idea of going back to Afghanistan. I don't know. I can't figure out why in God's name he would post something like this. He actually talked about Afghanistan 2 days ago, and I reported on this when he was meeting with 008 Keir Starmer in the UK, and they were taking questions from reporters. Trump mentioned Afghanistan, and he said that the United States is going to get the Bagram airbase back. Right? He said that. So he's got Afghanistan on his mind. And the reason that he said the United States wants the Bagram airbase in their possession is because it's an hour away from Chinese nukes. So perhaps this is a post meant to rattle the Chinese. Is that what this could be about? Maybe Trump believes that by posting about Bagram Air Base and the United States going back to Afghanistan, that this is going to give him some leverage over China as he's negotiating with China, because it's an hour away, according to Trump, from Chinese nuclear missiles. Or maybe Trump is just chaotic, and there is no rationale or rhyme or reason to any of these posts that he is making, right? We've gone from the Panama Canal to Greenland. Now we're talking about Afghanistan. Oh, man. So anyway, that's the post. The words from U.S. President Trump that has everyone talking and everyone scratching their heads. What is he talking about, man? So he was speaking at some sort of a dinner, a gala event. He was wearing a tuxedo and giving a speech, the U.S. president. And he said during the speech that his good buddy, the U.S. ambassador to NATO, Matthew Whitaker, is going to speak with the Europeans. And he said that the U.S. won't let the Europeans buy Russian oil much longer. So that's what he said during his speech. He didn't get into any of the details, but he was talking to Matthew Whitaker. He was referencing Matthew Whitaker as he was making this statement, and he said the U.S. ambassador to NATO, very important position being the U.S. ambassador to NATO, is going to speak with the Europeans, and that the U.S. will not let the Europeans buy Russian oil much longer. I thought the Europeans don't want to buy Russian oil. Isn't that the whole purpose of the 19th sanctions package that Ursula von der Crazy announced yesterday? They're phasing out Russian energy, Russian oil, and Russian gas by January 2027. They're speeding up the phasing out of Russian energy. So Trump wants the Europeans to speed it up even more, to phase it out right away, to stop buying Russian oil immediately. Is that what Trump is saying? If that's what he wants, then he could just tell the Europeans, just order the Europeans to stop buying Russian oil, and they're going to do it, right? He has all kinds of leverage on the Europeans, all kinds of leverage. He has all the leverage on the Europeans. Just tell them, stop buying Russian oil, and the Europeans are not going to have any choice but to stop buying Russian oil, if that's really what Trump wants. So he made that statement as well. And he also told the media that another boat was destroyed, a boat allegedly traveling from Venezuela on its way allegedly to the United States, allegedly carrying drugs and narcotics. and the U.S. military blew a third boat up. But we have no video of this third boat. But this is what Trump told the media, and he said that 3 men were on this boat, this third boat that was also blown up. So I believe this brings the number of people killed on boats, which the Trump administration claims were trafficking drugs. This is what they claim. We'll never really know, will we? That brings the number to 15 or 17, somewhere around there. So that was an interesting reveal from the U.S. president. He also posted on Truth Social about Venezuela, how he wants Venezuela to take all of the people that they've sent, who he claims are selling drugs in the United States, that Maduro sent to the United States to sell drugs. He wants Maduro to take them back. He posted that on Truth Social as well. Let me read you what he said. We want Venezuela to immediately accept all of the prisoners and people from mental institutions, which includes the worst in the world insane asylums that Venezuelan leadership has forced into the United States of America. Thousands of people have been badly hurt and even killed by these monsters. Get them the hell out of our country right now, or the price you pay will be incalculable. Right? Venezuela forced these people into the United States. They forced them. Maduro forced them into the United States, and the United States was forced to take them. This is what Trump is saying in this Truth Social post. And now I take it as he wants Maduro to send a plane and take them all back, or else there will be a price to pay. So this is just more of the Trump administration laying the groundwork, the foundation for a regime change operation in Venezuela. That's what this post is about. Every couple of days, Trump has to put out a post about Venezuela so he can keep everyone hypnotized and brainwashed into going along with the regime change of Maduro in Venezuela. And it's all about the oil, of course. It's all about the oil. So that's everything with Trump. We'll get to some more Trump in our Clown World segment. Believe that. And we can now talk about the Atlantic, which posted an article saying that the U.S. is quietly curtailing arms sales to Western Europe. Patriot air defense systems and some other weapons are in short supply, unnamed officials have told the outlet. Yeah, so the Atlantic claims that the Pentagon is curtailing weapon systems, including Patriot systems, to Europe, and that also means Project Ukraine when they say to Europe, because it's all about America first, and they want to rebuild their stocks and their inventory and hold these weapons because the Trump administration and the Pentagon is focused on an America first military strategy. That's a load of bollocks. If the United States had those weapons, if they were able to send those weapons to Europe, if they had them, and they were prepared and ready to send them, they would. But they don't have these weapons. They don't have these weapons to give, and it's going to take some time to produce the weapons, the massive amount of weapons that Europe and ultimately Project Ukraine needs. And the U.S. has been significantly demilitarized in the past 4 years. And so that is why they cannot send these weapons to Europe and ultimately to Project Ukraine. It's not that they don't want to send the weapons because it's part of some America First strategy. No, no, no. They just don't have these weapons, and it's going to take some time to produce them. And everyone's going to have to wait. That's basically what is going on here. Believe me, if they had an abundant amount of Patriot air defense systems, if they had a ton of Patriot air defense systems just sitting in some warehouse collecting dust or something like that, they would gladly ship those to Project Ukraine. But they don't have them. And that's the problem. And it's not going to be manufactured anytime soon. So they're running with this America First excuse. I thought the Trump administration was not giving the weapons to Europe, or not sending the weapons to Europe or to Project Ukraine. I thought they were selling the weapons to Project Ukraine. Isn't that what Trump said yesterday? We're making a profit on these weapons. I want to see the killing stop, he said. I want to see the killing stop because I want that Nobel Peace Prize. But what can I do? We're making a ton of profit by selling the weapons to NATO. And then Trump said, I think NATO's sending it to Ukraine. I don't know. We're selling it to NATO, of which we fund 50 or 60 or 70% or 80% of NATO. But I think they're then giving them to Project Ukraine. I don't know, but we're just making a lot of money off of this. We don't want to make a lot of money off of this because I want to get my Nobel Peace Prize and I want the conflict to end because it's a terrible conflict. But we're making a lot of money, he said. We're making a lot of profits selling these weapons to NATO. Anyway, the Russian military launched a massive drone and missile strike into Ukraine yesterday. 619 drones and missiles, 579 drones, as well as 8 ballistic missiles and 32 cruise missiles, 579 strike drones. The Ukraine air defenses were able to shoot down 583 aerial targets, is according to the Ukraine military. I've seen the videos and the photos from this massive drone and missile strike from yesterday. I highly doubt that the Ukraine air defenses managed to knock down that many drones or missiles. That's not how it looks from the various photos and images, videos that are circulating on social media. And this targeted all over Ukraine. This drone and missile strike was all over Ukraine and all the regions. So talking about shooting things down, the Lithuanian Minister of Defense, who was a former psychology master's student or psychology university student, and then ended up becoming Lithuania's Minister of Defense. Her name is Dovilė Sakalienė. She posted on X that NATO should have shot down the MiG, the Russian MiG fighter jets that were allegedly flying through Estonian airspace yesterday or 2 days ago. She claims that the best thing that NATO should have done, she says the best thing that NATO should have done was what Turkey did back in 2000. When was it? 2016, was it? When a Russian fighter jet was flying over Syria, and then Turkey shot down that Russian fighter jet, and things were really tense, very, very tense situation. Erdogan got the order from the United States, from NATO, to shoot down the Russian fighter jet. I'm convinced that's what happened, and Erdogan decided to execute on that order, because at the end of the day, Erdogan, when all is said and done and when push comes to shove, Erdogan is without a doubt a puppet of NATO and of the United States. Don't believe all the nonsense that Erdogan goes on about. Anyway, he got the order, and every now and then he gives pushback to the West, but this time around, or at least that time in 2016, Erdogan decided to go ahead and shoot down this Russian jet. And man, things were tense. Things were really tense. But there was no conflict between Russia and and Turkey back then. What did happen is, if I remember the situation, Russia took all kinds of other measures against Turkey. For example, they were not allowed, the Russian tourists were not allowed to visit Turkey. And that delivered a huge economic hit to the Turkish tourism industry. And the end result was that Erdogan flew to Moscow, and Putin made him wait for about 4 or 5 hours in some waiting room in the Kremlin. And then he ended up seeing Erdogan, and they patched things up. It was 2015 when Ankara shot down a Russian Su-24 bomber taking part in anti-terrorist operations in Syria, claiming it violated Turkish airspace. The Russian Defense Ministry denied the allegations, accusing Turkish jets of invading Syrian airspace and ambushing the Su-24. Yeah, that's what happened in 2015. So anyway, long story short, they patched things up, and that was that. But it was a very tense situation and a very, very tense year, tense relations the following year between Turkey and Russia. So the Lithuania is not Turkey, that's for sure. It's Lithuania. All of Lithuania is probably a neighborhood in Istanbul, right? That's probably the entire population of Lithuania probably fits in one neighborhood somewhere in Istanbul. But she wanted NATO to shoot down one of the Russian MiGs. 3 Russian fighter jets over Tallinn is one more hard proof that Eastern Sentry is long due. NATO's border in the northeast is being tested for a reason. We need to mean business. P.S. Turkey set an example 10 years ago. Some food for thought. Of which Maria Zakharova, she fired back at the psychiatrist turned defense minister of Lithuania, suggesting a career change for Miss Deauville. To go back to psychology, I believe is what Maria Zakharova said, and I quote, "The psychology major demonstrated expertise in addressing her own phobias. We wish the master of legal psychology success working in her own field," Zakharova said, referring to the Lithuanian official's degree. Yeah, that's why the EU is in the mess that it's in. That's why the Baltics are such a complete mess. Keep in mind that Lithuania, they have very bad relations, not only with Russia, but also with China. Very, very tense, bad relations with China, Lithuania. So yeah, they're all in the mess that they're in because they have psychology majors acting as ministers of defense, man. Oh boy. Maybe she knows a lot about defense. Maybe she's a military defense expert. Perhaps she didn't only study psychology, but perhaps she also has a hobby of military, of understanding military affairs and military history. Possible, huh? What do you think, Mr. Cat? What do you think about Lithuania's idea of shooting down the Russian fighter jets? You don't care, do you? No, the cat doesn't care. The cat does not care. Smart cat. So in 2-3 weeks, we had this whole thing was kicked off. This let's escalate with Russia. Russia is testing NATO's defenses. Russia is provoking NATO. We need to escalate. We need to pour more money into Eastern Sentry, into the eastern part of NATO. We need more money and more weapons. This whole thing started and was kicked off with what? I'll tell you how this whole thing started. No one's mentioning this. This whole thing started with Ursula's plane being jammed. We're jamming. We're jamming. That's right. The plane was jammed, and it had to, the pilots had to land in Bulgaria using paper maps. Remember that story? It was completely debunked and very embarrassing for Ursula and the European Union. That's how this whole thing started, man. And then we got the Polish drones, and then we got the Romanian drones, which never happened according to Romania. They've debunked that. And now we have the Russian fighter jets passing over a rock island, or close to a rock island, which is very close to Tallinn, and this is the latest provocation against NATO, and that is why NATO and the United States specifically needs to pour more money into the east of NATO. So Zelensky was speaking to the media, and he said that Ukraine is not going to accept a Korean-style settlement to the conflict. He actually said that there probably will not be any actual written document to settle the conflict. He said there's going to be no Korean-style freeze, none of that at all. He's not going to accept such a thing. And as far as an actual treaty or document or some sort of a settlement, Zelensky basically said that's not going to happen. Most likely, we're not going to get anything like that. So that's Zelensky, his latest statement. The former president of Ukraine from 2004 to 2010, he said in an interview, Viktor Yushchenko, he was the president that came into power during the first coup in Ukraine, the Orange Revolution. Is that what it was called? I believe it was called the Orange Revolution. This is the coup that preceded the Maidan in 2014. And it brought Yushchenko to power, and eventually he was voted out, losing to Yanukovych in 2010, right? And Yushchenko, he's very anti-Russian. I believe he's aligned with the Banderite forces in the west of Ukraine. He said that going back to 1991 borders is not enough. This is what Yushchenko said in an interview. He said that what needs to happen is that Moscow needs to be invaded and taken over. The Putin regime needs to fall. Moscow needs to fall, and only then will the conflict be finished. This is according to Yushchenko. Ex-Ukrainian president calls for the seizure of Moscow. No countries will be safe as long as Russia is led by Vladimir Putin. So that is the latest statement calling for escalation and regime change in Russia, this time coming from Viktor Yushchenko, the former leader of Ukraine. And let's now turn our attention to the UK before we get into our clown worlds. The Daily Mail is reporting that Starmer is ready to announce a digital ID plan. Yep, Starmer's own MPs blast digital ID plan as dystopian disaster as PM thrashing around for solution to small boats crisis. Create the problem, provide the solution. So the solution to the migrant crisis is digital IDs, according to 008 Keir Starmer. So Rachel Reeves, the financial minister or secretary, she is going to copy Ursula's Russian frozen assets reparations loan, and she's going to do a UK Russian frozen assets reparations loan, right? Because Ursula is, and the EU has come up with this bonehead idea of reparation loans using the Russian frozen assets, Rachel Reeves has decided that she's going to do the same. She's going to copy Ursula's catastrophic bonehead idea of using the Russian assets held in the UK in a reparations loan scheme to give the money over to Project Ukraine. And according to various reports, the UK holds 25 billion GBP in Russian assets. And this money is going to be given to Ukraine. Keep in mind that the UK, over the past 3 years, has been giving all kinds of loans to Ukraine, claiming that those loans are backed by the interest generated from the Russian frozen assets held at Euroclear. That's what the UK has been saying for the past 3-4 years, as they've been giving all of this money, these loans, to the Zelensky regime. And now they're saying that they're going to hand over 25 billion to Project Ukraine from assets that are held in the UK. And we're not talking about this money that is going to be given to Ukraine, loaned to Ukraine, as being backed by interest. We're talking now about the actual 25 billion of the Russian assets that are in the UK. So we've moved past the interest of the Russian frozen assets, and now we're talking about the actual assets themselves, the principal. Not that the interest was legal, the whole interest scheme was legal, but now we're getting into definite illegal territory here as the UK and as Europe plans to give a whole ton of money to the Zelensky regime, of which the Zelensky regime will burn through these billions in a very short period of time. And then when the war winds down and the war ends, Russia is going to come after their money, and they're going to come after the money that the EU has taken, and they're going to come after the money that the UK has taken. And that is one of the reasons why Europe does not want this war to end, because they are going to be in deep financial trouble when the war ends and Russia comes after the money that they have given away, that they have loaned, that they have dipped into. So let's do some clown worlds and we can wrap this video up. We'll go back to Trump for today's clown worlds and that event that he was speaking at. He really badmouthed Biden during that event.
Very angry, mean Biden. You know, Biden was always a mean guy, but never a smart guy. You know, even you go back 30 years ago, 40 years ago, he was a stupid guy, but he was always a mean son of a bitch, you know? How's it working? Not working too well for him right now, as it says. So when you start feeling sorry for him, remember, he was a bad guy.
So Trump was referencing the Wall Street Journal article that I talked about in a video a couple of days ago, which claims that Biden is short of cash. The $10 million book deal that he has allegedly secured is not enough to keep up with Biden's expenses and the expenses of his son, who is a Renaissance man. And everyone knows that the habits of Renaissance men, well, they're very expensive, the habits of Renaissance men. And Biden is running low on cash. And so that is what Trump is referring to in this statement. But the real clown world came when Trump was talking about all of the Nobel Prize work that he has been doing in resolving all kinds of conflicts around the world. How many conflicts, how many wars has Trump negotiated? Has he solved? 7, 8, 9, 17, 18, 19? The list goes on and on and on. It just gets bigger and bigger, longer and longer, the list of conflicts that Trump has resolved. And he was talking about, during his speech, about the resolution of the conflict between Cambodia and Armenia. Cambodia and Armenia. You heard that right. President Trump won't stop confusing the Azerbaijan-Armenia conflict, this time referring to Azerbaijan as Cambodia. Cambodia and Armenia. It was just starting, and it was a bad one. The Cambodia-Armenia conflict does not exist. Cambodia and Armenia. Yeah, Cambodia and Armenia, Azerbaijan and Albania. You also had a conflict between Azerbaijan and Armenia, and you also had a conflict between Cambodia and Thailand. So you can see how complicated geopolitics can get at times, right? Because then Cambodia and Armenia got into a conflict, and then Azerbaijan got into a conflict with Albania, and then Azerbaijan got into a conflict with Albania, and Trump helped resolve all of that, right? Come on, man. Someone needs to sit Trump down. Someone in the communications department in the White House needs to sit Trump down and just get it right with him. Just get it right with him. Over a coffee or over a lunch, and just sit down with the president of the United States and tell him Azerbaijan and Armenia. Azerbaijan, Armenia. Armenia, Azerbaijan. A and A. Azer, arm. Arm, Azer. Okay? Just get it right. This is the third or fourth time that he has messed this up, which leads me to believe that the story about the way he resolved the conflict is probably not true, where he talks about how both of the leaders were in the White House and one guy was sitting over there, he says, and the other guy was sitting over there, and they were sitting far apart. And then I told them, I don't like it. I don't like it. You guys got to get close together. And then they got close together and they started to talk to each other. And then they signed a peace agreement because Trump got them physically close together. And that's what did the trick. This leads me to believe the fact that he just can't get the names down leads me to believe that that's not how things went down in the White House. So anyway, that's the video, theduran.locals.com. We're on X and Rumble and Telegram. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch, give a like to this video, subscribe to this channel, and I will see everybody tomorrow. The Paolo Pizza. Take care.